diving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Raw Recovery, a Trudging Together podcast. My name is Dion Miller. I'm going to be your host today. Today is part of our professional series, and I have brought on a drunk whisperer, Amy Moore. Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dion. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we've been trying to do this for a couple weeks, but Amy was traveling, and you know what? Let's just get to what happened this weekend. That was so cool. Tell us what happened this weekend.
So this weekend, I was at a Blue October show, and the lead singer, Justin Furstenfeld, came out into the audience and danced with me.
Wow.
And
cool.
And my daughter actually got it on video. So
I saw it. It was so cool. And what a neat guy. The reason why this is so cool is because he's been in recovery for
11 years.
11 years now. Wow, he got more time than I do, man. And it shows in his music.
Right.
You know, I know people are on a jelly roll, but Blue October's music is actually about recovery.
Right. So. Well, his old stuff is about the darkness, you know. The dark mental health, and like what he was like before when he was using and drinking. And I actually met him in 2003.
Wow.
At the in Las Vegas at the House of Blues, and he was trashed out of his mind. Oh yeah.
Man. That's so cool because wow, what a difference. Right. I mean, we get to see the transformation, and this is why we do what we do, to see these transformations in people. And hearing that music go from such darkness, I mean, evil darkness, to standing in the sunlight of the spirit. And you went from him being trashed to dancing with him sober, man. I mean, how could recovery not be cool?
Right.
I mean, we have a lot. We really enjoy ourselves, and the neat thing is you remember it. You weren't drunk. So cool.
Yeah. He held my grandbaby too. I don't know if you saw that picture.
I did not see that part. I was a little too jealous.
Yeah, I've been getting messages all weekend saying,
well, it's such a neat story, and I'll be honest, you deserve it. You know, those are the gifts. I really feel like those are the gifts that God gives us. Yeah, when we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
I agree 100%. Like I have never had a bigger smile on my face for sure.
You're still smiling. You're even blushing a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Nobody else can see, but I'll let people know you. I got to J.R. Richards is one of my favorite singers. He was the lead singer of Dishwalla. Him and Ed Kowalczyk, but I got to meet J.R. Richards, and I gave him my 2-year chip. I couldn't find my 1-year chip. I was about 4 years sober. And he almost didn't want to take it. And I'm like, don't worry, I've got plenty of other chips. And so it was just neat because I listened to him the first year of my sobriety, and music's a big part of my life. So I love telling those stories.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did you get the name A Drunk Whisperer? I've kind of wondered that. How did that name come about? Well, maybe we should tell people what you do. We're talking intervention versus 12-stepping today, and the differences between. And there's going to be similarities too. So we're going to talk through those things, because we all need to understand that we all have a job, but we need to stay in our lanes or we can become dangerous. So.
Right. So intervention wasn't something that I just set out to do.
Okay.
It kind of fell in my lap, actually. I helped do an intervention on my aunt in 2005.
Okay.
And a man here who kind of started intervention in Colorado, Howie Madigan, was actually facilitating the intervention. And I was a part of the team. Well, she said, no, I'm not going anywhere, blah, blah, blah. And I went outside and talked to her and told her a little bit about what recovery looks like and how her life could change, and talked her into going.
Yeah.
And so the next opportunity that I got really was in 2012.
Okay.
And I was with a friend, and he came up to me and he said, Amy, have you ever thought about doing interventions? And I was like, yes, like that's my dream job. Because I'd been watching the show. I'd been watching this like sober transport show on television. And I even applied to like sober escorts and a bunch of those other like programs out there.
Yeah. There's a lot of programs.
Yeah. And sober escorts was one of the first ones. And I was like, yeah, I would love to be a sober escort. And they never even responded to me. But a guy here in Denver, after he asked me that, he's like, I have a friend that's looking for a female interventionist.
Okay.
And he introduced me to another interventionist here in Colorado. And so I started working second chair with him. So he was teaching me. I was at the interventions with him. And then I was taking on part of the role in the actual intervention process. And we did an intervention on a nurse. And this intervention was crazy. We did the intervention in a hotel room. Her parents came out here from another state.
Yep.
Parents, family members, friends, everybody was a little bit nervous about the boyfriend because the boyfriend was a drug dealer. But this was an intervention for mental health, addiction, and eating disorder. Okay. And she was a nurse stealing medications from her patients.
Yeah.
And so, boyfriend shows up after she shows up there, you know, and he's like, you're coming with me. He came in with a gun, and everybody's just like, oh my gosh, like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And he's like, we're out of here. And I said, well, then I'm coming with you.
Whoa.
And this wasn't part of like the script or anything.
No, well, yeah, no, it wasn't.
You have to think on your feet when you're doing interventions.
Yeah, because you're not going to be able to cover we call them what ifs.
Yeah,
and exactly. You're not going to be able to cover every single one of them.
Yeah, we don't have a contingency plan for every single thing that can come up. So I leave with her. And I'm like, so what are we going to do? You know, and he's like, no, she's not coming with us. And this gal that we're doing the intervention on is like, yes, she is. And so we leave, and she goes, I go to a meeting. And so we actually went to a meeting in Brighton.
Okay.
And met up with her old sponsor. And we talked for a while, me, her, and her sponsor, and convinced her that going to treatment was a good thing.
Yep.
So came back, you know, in all this time, I'm not communicating with anybody back at the hotel. Okay. They're back there freaking out, you know.
Wondering what's going on. Yeah.
Exactly. We walk in and she says, okay, I'll go. And her brother, who was a doctor, said, oh my God, you're the drunk whisperer.
Ah, there it is.
And I was like, that is a perfect name.
It is.
But I'm not thinking of doing interventions at this time on my own. Not at all. Like, I'm happy doing second chair, you know, being involved. It's exciting. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is what I need. It's a, you know, it's a free high.
Yeah. Well, you know, I absolutely believe that God gave each of us addicts and alcoholics a talent. And that talent is saving other people's lives.
Yeah.
We can help when nobody else can. See, when you have somebody with experience, strength, and hope and education, you have a great shot at taking an unwilling person and making them willing.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it can be done. Wow, to go with him. People don't understand. Drug dealers are dangerous people. They don't do drug. Well, there's peddlers and then there's drug dealers.
Right.
And drug dealers don't do drugs. And they're very smart people. And wow, talk about God intervening there. What a neat story. What a neat story. Right. And then of course, you know, and I absolutely agree. The best high that I've ever gotten, and I've had a lot of highs, is helping other people.
Right.
I love 12-step work. I love it. It's why I do what I do. It's why I go to meetings. It's why I do my podcasting. and all these things is very, very satisfying to me. Let's kind of get to the topic though. Do you want to cover intervention or 12 stepping first?
Whatever you like. I mean, I'm good with both. I think that people are often confused about what it is.
Yeah. Why don't we start there? What do you think the number one confusion is?
Well, I think that the number one confusion for most people is that we should help everybody for free. Like everything, every service that's out there around addiction, mental health, process addiction should all be free.
Yeah.
And whether, no matter what, no matter how it comes about, that people should just be out there like waiting to help these people, and that nobody should be making a dime on anybody's pain. That's really some of the stuff that I've heard, is that
we do get
profit on somebody else's struggle.
Yeah. And I'm known for calling people out on that. And that's exactly the reason why I'm starting the professional series, because I want people to know there's actual help out there. There's plenty of help in Colorado. Right. It's just about going to the right place for your needs. It's about understanding the needs and then finding the right person. And that's what we're about. But yes, we still have to put food on the table. We still need to pay our rent, and if we did everything for free, then we'd be living in the cardboard box with you.
Right.
And there's a separation there. I mean, you went back to school and got an education so that you would be paid for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of years of experience in looking at different options for people, different options for the family, all of the resources that are available to everybody, instead of them going onto Google and finding a million treatment options. Now we can narrow it down to the places that I've actually visited, seen like what they're doing, looked at their clinical care, making sure that what they're doing is appropriate, and that I would send my own child there.
There you go. Yeah. And that's one thing that we do is we build trust, our reputations. And when we refer to somebody, I mean, that's our reputation on the line. So we're very careful about that.
Right.
It didn't always used to be that way, but you got to work the flow. And right now you're guilty until proven innocent. Sorry. But I think probably the biggest thing between the intervention and a 12-step call is a 12-step call. The call has been initiated by the person wanting help, whereas an intervention, the person doesn't even know that it's going to happen.
Correct. So the family thinks that they need help and have, like some families have offered them help, some families haven't, but really they're like, they need help and we don't know how to help them. That's an intervention. Somebody that wants a 12-step call and wants resources, typically I will give somebody that's calling me and begging for help the same resources that I would give somebody that pays me.
Yeah.
But they're begging for the help.
Yeah.
Like they want the help. They're willing to do anything to get the help, and they have some skin in the game. So it's not me behind the scenes, like orchestrating everything and making sure that everything's set up in a way that would help them. They are actually making the phone calls. They're the ones looking at the different treatment centers. They're the ones calling and asking for scholarships or whatever it is so that they can get the best care that they can get.
Yeah. And I think you hit on a big part. It's skin in the game, because until an alcoholic or an addict has skin in the game, not much is going to be done. And there are ways to make them realize that they have skin in the game. What are some of the processes that we kind of do with that? Or maybe basically give me an idea of like a basic intervention and kind of what happens.
So an intervention, typically the family members will call me, parents, friends, whoever has the most concern, or they sometimes will just appoint a point person to like get all the information, like gather information, call different places and see what's available out there. And then when they start calling me, I really do an assessment with the family. So I will send them a questionnaire. They fill out the questionnaire. I send them my contract after the first consultation with them. So they sign the contract, they pay my fee, and then we set up a date for the actual intervention. And so that's how they secure that date, is by paying the fee, doing the contract, doing the questionnaire.
So and we can have a location.
And then once they send the contract or the questionnaire back to me, then I will read over it and see what I think is the best clinical fit for the person that we're doing the intervention on.
There you go. Okay.
Do we need dual diagnosis? Is it a process addiction? Is it, pure addiction? What are they addicted to? How much are they doing? Do they need detox? Like, do they need a higher level of detox? Do they need a higher level of care before they can actually go inpatient? So determining what level of care that they need first, and then finding a treatment facility. I'm not affiliated with any treatment facilities, but I have toured a lot of them. So a question I often get from families is, do you get paid from the treatment center to refer us to them? No, I don't. No. I don't get any benefit other than I know that your person's going to a place that I will put my reputation on.
Yeah. And so then and thank you for that, by the way. Because that keeps you away from when we start doing the referral from that starts to become body brokering.
Right.
And it's not, it can lead to it.
Right.
And it's so easy to say, oh, well, this treatment center is going to give me $5,000 if I send them there, where this one. So, it's just like the radio stations. We don't get gifts. We're not allowed to take them. HIPAA doesn't allow us. We're under contract. We're not allowed to take money that we haven't done the work for.
Right. And I think that that's really important for people to know, that there are some things going on in the industry that aren't ethical. Yeah. And so finding an ethical person, is important. It's really important. Yeah. And so then I probably pick 2 to 3 different treatment facilities. I don't want to overwhelm them with too many options.
Sure.
I give them 2 or 3 different options that work with their insurance or with their self-pay, that they can afford to do this treatment. And then they call and actually make the final choice.
Yeah.
Because there are things that the family thinks about that I don't. I'm looking at clinical care.
Sure.
I'm looking at the professional side of it. And they're thinking about how, is it on the beach? Is it in the sun? Is it in the snow?
Yeah.
Is it, can
I
they
need to bring my toothbrush?
Yeah, right? Exactly. Can I have my cell phone? Stuff like that. The families, have a very different agenda than what I do.
Yeah.
So then I let them determine the place based on those 3 suggestions that I give. Sometimes the families come with treatment centers already in mind.
Okay.
Fine. But I tell the family, I'm not going to stake my reputation on a place that I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're free to send them to whatever facility that you like.
As long as it's not Florida. So.
Exactly. Well, there are places in Florida that aren't doing a lot of the other things that the Florida model is doing.
And there again, it's the bullies ruining the playground for everybody else. So.
And there are other states that have done the same thing. They just didn't get it as high of a rap as Florida did.
Yeah.
But I do have a couple of treatment centers in Florida that are doing a good job, that have ethical practices.
Awesome.
And yes, I will send to a couple of different places there. So
that's fantastic. And that is part of what we do as people in recovery, is we understand that when somebody comes in, they're extremely vulnerable and easily manipulated, especially if they're already willing. And that's why it's very, what you just described was what I would do on a 12th step call. I'm going to meet that person where they're at.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. I never expect somebody else that I'm going to help to meet me where I'm at. So, we do 12-step calls and I usually, when I'm doing a 12-step call, I usually ask pertinent questions like, what's your family life like? Are you married? What are your, do you have kids? What I'm doing is I'm finding out who they're close to, because I'm going to use this person to make them even more willing.
Right.
You bet. Because for me, when I got here, I got sober because I was tired of hurting my wife and kids. I didn't care about me. Now I got into the program and I had to do recovery for myself. I definitely had to do that for me, man, or it wasn't going to work. But I believe you can get sober for any reason you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can use a family member, because then when it comes to my experience, I could tell them, the best gift I gave if they're close to their mom, I'll say mommy. The best thing I ever gave to my mommy was I quit drinking. Now she doesn't have to worry about that phone call at 2:00 in the morning, man. Right. So, and that's where I can use my experience. And, I've got a little bit of background. I've got a couple letters after my name, so I can do a little bit more. But really, a 12-step call is just there for me to share my experience and to bring that person hope and to kind of wrap them and bring them into the program and bring them to a meeting. From there, my job's kind of done as a 12-stepper. And I got that done. I feel great about myself. How does an intervention go? I mean, I know that they go around in a circle. What kind of happens inside of that?
So after we pick treatment, then I get the family unit together and we do like a first session with them. So I try to get from everybody's point of view, basically what the questionnaire talks about, like why are you involved in this intervention? Like, how are you feeling? What do you think has been going on that constitutes an intervention? So then each person kind of goes around the room. I also ask them, like, how are they feeling about it? Like, are they nervous? Are they, are they hopeful? And typically in the beginning, they're really nervous. They're really scared. They don't want to, wreck their relationship with the person, but they're more scared that they're going to die.
Yeah.
So after we go around the room, I get a bigger picture of what's going on from all perspectives. What this does is it kind of creates a cohesive team for everybody. It starts the healing process within the family. And the family starts to be able to know, like, okay, the gig is up. Like, I'm no longer holding secrets.
Yeah.
The addict. And now everybody knows everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Whereas, just the one person, usually the spouse is the one that's been held hostage.
Yeah.
Has all of the secrets and nobody else really knows what's going on. Now, all of the skeletons are out in the middle of the room on the table for everybody to see.
Yeah.
And that starts the healing process. And then I encourage them to do things that they don't want to do, like get support for themselves, get support for
I was gonna ask if the family disease portion comes up.
Yes, absolutely. Nobody gets to stay healthy in sickness. Everybody gets sick.
Yeah.
So family develops all of these survival skills, all of these coping mechanisms that they start to use that aren't healthy for them.
Yeah.
And they either get in real close and helicopter over this person and try to save them from the bottom, or they completely remove themselves. That's typically what I see. So starting the healing process for them, because I truly believe that if the family doesn't change, there's no way on earth that the addict can.
I absolutely agree with you. I've seen, I don't know how many times I've seen somebody come into the program and they start to get better, but they stay stagnant because of their spouse refuses. And eventually they get divorced. And that person in the program usually ends up then moving forward and marrying somebody else that's in the program. That's usually what happens. That's what I see.
Yeah.
I was lucky that, my family, my wife was willing to heal and things like that.
Yeah.
But you got to have that unit. It takes a tribe to get sober.
Yeah.
I believe that everybody is just looking for one thing, somebody that understands. You ask a homeless person what they want. That's what they'll tell you.
Yeah. Somebody that understands, somebody that'll listen. And that's a lot of it, letting the families tell me all the things that are going on and really have that compassionate listening ear. And then along with the education comes training of how do we flip the script on this person that you've been trying to talk to, because everybody tries to talk to them and tell them all the things that they're doing wrong and that they need to change. But dialoguing with an addict never works.
Yeah.
Their prefrontal cortex is shut off. So they're going to treat you like you're the enemy.
Yeah.
You try to talk to them. But a group can do what a singular person cannot do.
That's correct.
And I train them how to write an effective letter, like backed by science, that can help them with this process and motivate that person to get the help that somewhere inside of them, they know that they need the help.
Sure.
They just don't know how to ask for it.
Yeah. I think everybody in the world has the problem of asking for help.
Right.
I think we're all kind of born with a certain amount of denial. We alcoholics tend to take it to the extreme, but yeah, nobody wants to think that they're bodily and mentally different from their foes. Nobody likes that feeling.
Yeah, nobody does. So teaching them how to write a letter, an effective letter, and then facilitating the conversation is really important. You know, a lot of people think that once I give them this information, and I want to make sure that the people that are listening don't think that because I've given you a lot of information today that you're going to go and have a successful intervention.
Oh, no.
The biggest part of a successful intervention is having somebody there to facilitate this conversation, because what you've tried hasn't worked.
Yeah. And just like the alcoholic, all of the best thoughts got you there.
Right.
You know, and, you know, it usually takes somebody with experience to usually get through to the person. Because, you know, the alcoholic or addict, it just seems like somebody always wants something, even if it's just quitting, you know, and we you know, all the problems are, and most times we just want to be left alone. We're not hurting anybody. But once we realize that we are hurting other people, it tends to change a little. Am I correct on that? When the addict or alcoholic starts to realize that their behavior is affecting their favorite mommy or their auntie, they change.
Absolutely. And I make sure that even though I do a non-confrontational part intervention, that there is a part in the letters that I have them write the realities of the addiction and how it really is affecting them, how much it hurts them, how many sleepless nights they have, you know, what it really has done. Because unfortunately, when your prefrontal cortex is turned off, you don't have the ability to see yourself. So can
you explain that a little bit more for us?
You don't have executive thinking. You can't make a plan. You're basically in fight or flight all the time.
Okay.
So
survival mode.
Yeah, survival mode. Okay. Constant survival mode. So there's no way to actually appraise like how you're doing or how anybody else is doing. You can't see that stuff. You're literally thinking 5 to 10 seconds into the future. That's it. And so coming up with a plan, being able to say, hey, I need help, and making a plan, highly unlikely. Yeah. Probably never going to happen.
Probably not, unless they are confronted with something. Otherwise we just go on our merry way thinking, and we think that our world is the only world that actually exists because that's our perception. So when we do talk to the person that has a problem, I mean, what's that like? Are they usually pretty willing to listen, or do you get a lot of pushback?
It depends. Like, it really depends. Some of it is the family, family dynamic says a lot about how the intervention's going to go. Usually I know within a few seconds whether that person will go to treatment or not, after meeting them, because I haven't met them up until the day of the intervention. But love typically keeps people in the room.
Yeah.
Love and curiosity. They want to know what is in those letters. They want to know the dirt that you have. They really do.
Yeah.
And they don't really know that it's all wrapped up with love, but they can see that the family has changed. They can see that something's different just by the energy.
And they're handwritten letters too, aren't they?
They are handwritten
That's letters. So powerful.
Yep.
My grandma, I was the only person drunk at my own wedding. At my mom's house, who has, 40 years of sobriety. But anyway, I don't know how I got away with that. But my grandma, she wrote me a handwritten letter, man, and it made me take a serious. It would still be a few years, but she said my dying wish is to see you sober, and I did it. I got sober before she died. No regrets, but it was because of that letter. Because and it wasn't long. She didn't beat the hell out of me. It was all love. She said, "Please get the help that you need. I can say this because I'm your grandma, But just the love that came from it, and I keep it. I keep it in my drawer next to my bed, and I read it every now and then to remind me of the person that I used to be and who I am now.
That's awesome.
So,
and it is powerful. It's powerful for them when they get to hear it. It's also powerful for them when they go to treatment, and the therapeutic team can use those letters to help them see and break through some of those delusions that they have.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful tool, and it's very powerful for the person that's writing it. It's a cathartic exercise that happens.
Well, healing, because
absolutely.
Because what you're doing, because people tend to think that amends are about saying sorry and the guilt, but really it's about justice. That's where the healing comes in. They finally felt like they got some justice because they got to write it. They got to write it down. And pen to paper is powerful, especially when we write our emotions down. That's why journaling's so great, and then so they have that healing. And then to go into treatment knowing that these 5-6 people all have your back, that's going to bring their success rate up, or their rate of being able to stay sober. It's going to bring it up because skin in the game. Accountability is skin in the game. And if we can make them accountable in the beginning, I found that it works extremely well because the whole thought process changes.
Absolutely.
I can't get drunk. I got to meet with my sponsor today.
Exactly. Setting yourself up for success. I love it too. I'm always telling people, build a solid foundation and set yourself up for success. If you're going to be around some people that trigger you and you're going to get some, crazy thoughts inside of your head, set up a meeting with your sponsor after you meet with your family, then you don't have to worry about picking up the phone. You already have yourself set up for that success. So.
Exactly. Yeah. And Dr. Bob was big on that too. And we do that a lot. I pray every morning. I do steps 1, 2, and 3, and I work on my foundation because there's days when I wake up and steps 1, 2, and 3 are all I got. Right. It's just that kind of day. And it's true. If you have a strong, unshakable foundation, and of course you got to maintain that foundation by learning more, giving it away, things like that. Do you have, I'm trying to think of any other major differences between a 12-step call and I think we covered a lot of them. Mostly it has to do with the experience, and interventions do work. They do work.
Absolutely.
With the right people. And Angelina Moore, she was on the show Intervention. She's been on our show. She was on our show like 2-3 years ago. So because you said you watched that show, so
yeah, very cool. Yeah. I don't think that there are any other differences that we haven't covered that I can think of. I mean, I think sometimes it can look the same.
Yeah.
But it's really the person that you're dealing with is what makes the difference between an intervention and a 12-step call.
Yeah.
Because really, truly, if somebody calls me any day of the week, I will help them. And I'm not above helping a family for free. I have a family right now that has called me and said, we need help, but we can't afford your fee. And I can tell you that I told them, I don't care. I don't want anybody dying on my watch.
That's it.
Come up with as much as you can, or we can set up a payment plan. But the reality is that I want this person to get help first. Yeah. And then I believe that I will get paid. I'll get paid. one way or the other,
Yeah.
Like if it's not
if that person quits drinking, there'll be plenty of money left. Yeah.
The next family will, offset the cost. Like I'm not worried about the payment piece. Like, yes, I need to pay my bills, but I know that there's a higher price that I'll pay spiritually for letting people go and try to do it on their own.
Yep.
And I often tell families, protect your investment. If you're going to pay a bunch of money to send somebody to treatment, you may as well protect your investment along the way.
Yeah. That's a great point. And what we're saying here is that we're transparent, that there's nothing going on here. I'm the same way. My motto is sponsees first. Okay. I help my sponsees. I do my AA stuff first. After that, then I'm good. But I'm not going to go work at drug court, things like that, if I'm not working with 2 or 3 guys, on my own time. So, it's like a work before play thing, but it all washes out in the end, and I've never been hurting.
Right. And the amends thing, I think that's part of it too. Like I caused a lot of harm out there. I caused a lot of harm with my family, with my friends. And my amends, which amends, the definition is a change in behavior.
Yeah.
My change in behavior today helps other people change their behavior.
That's right. Yeah. And we do that. And we do that by example.
Right. And the ripple effect, the ripple effect of sobriety and health ripples out onto everybody. And that is another reason that intervention is so successful, because the family starts healing, and then the person that's addicted has no choice but to get help because everybody else is.
Yeah. And when you grow as a group, when you grow as a family, you become, I don't want to say powerful, but powerful.
Yeah.
You can create for as much bad as I did. And I agree. I feel responsible. Right? I have to give back after what I've done. But once that happens, then you have those 5 people, and then they help 2 more people. I mean, now we're already at 20 people, and it just goes out. And then one day somebody comes across it. Hey, you said something in a meeting 7 years ago that kept me sober. You don't even remember. And this is why it is important that you find your passion in the program and go after it. Okay. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to Amy, and we'll help you find your passion.
Yes.
There's plenty of stuff to be done in this field. And we need everybody that we can get.
Yes, we do. It takes a village.
It does. And we're going to keep that village safe. How can people get in touch with you?
So people can call me at 303-915-7072, or you can go to my website at www.adrunkwhisperer.com. And that's how you get a hold of me. My email address is on there. There's a contact card there. And
I'll make sure that I put it for anybody that can't write it down or anything. I'll put it in the post too, so that you can, or I'll put it in the description so that you can find her also. And
I think you can go Google A Drunk Whisperer and I come right up.
Do you? I'm gonna find out.
Yeah. And the reason that I'm a drunk whisperer and not the drunk whisperer is because the drunk whisperer was taken. But my sponsor said that's probably good that I'm a drunk whisperer.
Yeah, because it throws a little humility in there, I guess.
Exactly. I need to be just another bozo on the bus.
That's right. I get it. I really do. I mean, you want to help, and the thing is, I want to help as many people as I can.
Me too.
But I'm not looking for popularity.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of tends to go a little hand in hand. Right. So we had some great stuff here. Skin in the game. I think that was probably the number one thing, is once an alcoholic or an addict has skin in the game, we can certainly make a difference. It takes a tribe, no matter who you are. It takes a tribe. And I know for some of us, not everybody has a family that is supportive. So get to as many meetings as you can and find your family in the 12-step groups. That's where my family is. And they tend to understand me a little bit better. So, Amy, thank you for taking your time. I know you're busy, between you and Blue October and Belize. Now it's time to get back to work. But thank you so much for taking your time on a Tuesday morning to talk with us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dion. It was a pleasure just getting to know you better and being able to, help somebody else.
Yep, and we'll get this out. And all right, thank you everybody for being here. To all my listeners, thank you for always tuning in. And I hope everybody has a great day. I love you. Peace out and have a day.